Please be seated. If you have a problem that can be fixed, then there is no use in worrying. If you have a problem that cannot be fixed, then there is no use in worrying. Classic inspirational quote opening sentence, I know, but please bear with me. Good morning, friends, faculty, and of course, my family. I really appreciate you all coming here today. This Buddhist proverb may be a little cliche, but it encompasses something powerful. Something that I've thought about a lot this past year, and unfortunately only came to truly grasp recently: the power of perspective. Anyone that knows me well could tell you that I consistently find myself in the most unusual situations. Sometimes life throws you some curveballs. That's a given. But it's not what happens to you that defines a situation, but how you choose to regard it, and more importantly, how you choose to overcome it. There's always a bright side, a silver lining, if you will, and if you're not able to find it and move on, you are never going to be at peace with yourself. I would like to share a little antidote from just 2 weeks ago. However, a disclaimer is needed. My actions in this story are by no means a reflection of my intelligence. Okay, so I'm cruising down the 401 on my way to Western University when a police car emerges from the side of the road and I unfortunately wind up with my first speeding ticket. Yes, not the best start to the day. I'm so frazzled from the situation that I decide maybe it'd be a good idea to go and get some gas so I can calm down a little bit. So we got gas and then continued on our way to London, arrived at Western, had a lovely tour of the campus, and then I returned to my car, put my keys in the ignition, and the car would not start. Judging from the abundance of fumes emanating from the gas pipe and the fact that the engine itself was literally vibrating, I decided that maybe it'd be a good idea to call my dad and then call CAA and have my car towed to a mechanic. That afternoon may have been frustrating. However, I learned to check the oil along with other potential issues and really how to even open the hood of a car. I spent a lot more time in London than I originally planned on, but hey, at least I got a greater sense of the community that I will soon call home. Eventful day, right? But wait, the fun doesn't stop there. The following day, we received a call from the mechanic. Turns out I absent-mindedly filled up my parents' car with diesel. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that happened. The moral of the story is not to avoid speeding on the 401 or to learn how to pump gas like a normal human being, but rather to focus on the positive and regard every situation as an opportunity for growth. I know a lot more about cars than I did before and had a very pleasant bonding experience with the people I traveled with. We all make mistakes. We're human. As long as you learn from them, have no shame in encountering those bumps on the road. The effect of any situation can be altered depending on how you look at it. As my buddy Albus Dumbledore once said, happiness can be found in the darkest of times if only one remembers to turn on the light. Now, I know that there are a lot of you out there who are skeptical. Maybe you consider viewing the world optimistically, not viewing the world realistically. But whether you identify as an optimist or not, you are one. I recently read a book called The Optimism Bias, a tour of the irrationally positive brain. The optimism bias can be defined as the human tendency to overestimate the likelihood of good events and underestimate the likelihood of bad events. In short, the book proposes that we are all a little bit more optimistic than realistic, and that our brains are actually hardwired to look on the bright side. It suggests that optimism is actually pivotal to survival, and that given all the disease and genocide and evil and hate in the world, the human race would have fizzled out and died without it. Who goes through life assuming that they're going to wind up fired or divorced or in a car accident or with an illness? No one. Yet statistically speaking, luck is not always on your side. We all have hope, and whether you realize it or not, this hope is what keeps you going. It is safe to say that regardless of our objectives, our perspectives are not always ideal. Sometimes we wind up in a place of struggle. We choose to dwell on the negative instead of the positive. A prime example of this was in grade 10 when I was diagnosed with Raynaud's syndrome. This may sound serious, however, it's not. Literally, all that this means is that I have really weird chameleon-like hands. They literally turn purple, red, and blue, and a variety of other colors when in the cold. This, ladies and gentlemen, was the major trauma of my youth. I was so self-conscious about them and thought that it was just the biggest deal ever. As Alan Watts once said, muddy water is best cleared by leaving it alone, and I did exactly that. I got over it and eventually turned my self-consciousness into self-confidence. I love my weird hands. Can you draw a smiley face on your hand that lingers for 30 seconds or so with just the tip of your finger? Doubtful. Feeling self-conscious, whether it be about your skin, hair, or body weight, is one of the absolute worst feelings. We live in a society of comparison where we feel that if we do not fit a certain mold, then we are inadequate. I would like to ask you to spread your arms. Don't be shy, just spread them out. Now take one arm and place it on your opposite shoulder. Now take your other arm and place it on your other shoulder. Now give yourself a nice big hug, because you know what? You deserve it. You are awesome. There is something about you that is unlike anyone else. So you know what? Embrace it, because if you don't love yourself, who's going to? Now, I would now invite you to look to the person on your left. Now look to the person on your right. Whether you are good friends or have never spoken to them in your life and are now mildly uncomfortable from this situation, you have experienced so much with these people. From the time that there was powdered cheese in the salad bar to that time that Sam Zhao yelled in grade band, you and the stranger sitting next to you have actually been through a lot together. Being a part of the same community, it is likely that you have influenced each other in some way. As the year comes to a close, I invite you to contemplate the impact that the Appley community has had on you. Sometimes we may love it, hate it, miss it, or diss it, but ultimately, we have grown so much in its presence. Everything you've ever done, every person you've ever met, every experience you've ever had is a part of who you are today. Everything needed to be as it was so that you could grow and did as you do. As the final chapel speech of the graduating class of 2013 comes to a close, I would like to share one last thing with you. This is a Cherokee proverb that I no doubt found while wasting time on Tumblr. An old Cherokee told his grandson, "My son, there is a battle between two wolves inside us all. One is evil. It is anger, jealousy, greed, resentment, inferiority, lies, and ego. The other is good. It is joy, peace, love, hope, humility, kindness, empathy, and truth." The boy thought about it and asked, "Grandfather, which wolf wins?" The old man quietly replied, "The one you feed." I now invite you to stand and join me in singing hymn number 418.